Sheila brought me a present.
Ben Vitale,
Present.
Tom Winslow,
Present.
Robert Jake,
Present.
Aileen McSack Coleman,
Present.
Hans Petter,
Here.
Mark Strong,
Here.
Heidi Nightingale, Lee Daly,
Here.
Stephanie Vito. Or just gone. Brian Mulder,
Here.
Donna Banana.
Present. Let's stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing in honor of prayer silence. Thank you. May you see. We do have a public hearing this evening. A local law providing for the salary increase for certain county officers elected or appointed for a fixed term during their time. If you'd like to participate in the public hearing, phone number is 315-294-8051. That's 315-294-8051 if you wish to speak to the public hearing.
Okay.
Do we have anyone here this evening wishing to speak to the public hearing? All right, then we'll proceed. This time I do have a proclamation. We also have a presentation, so I'm gonna. This month is Older Americans Month, and we have a proclamation to celebrate Older Americans Month. So I'm just gonna read from the proclamation, and I'm gonna invite Vice Chair Nightingale and Legislator Strong to join me at the podium once I'm finished, and we're gonna have some awards here for speakers of comment. And join me at the podium, our Director of the Office of Aging.
There. Right.
All right. Whereas May is Older Americans Month, a time to recognize and honor Cayuga County older adults and their significant contributions to the quality of life in Cayuga County. And whereas our community benefits when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds have the opportunity to lead, participate, contribute, be involved with all facets of our daily lives. And whereas Cayuga County recognizes the importance of building a community that offers older adults the opportunity to age with dignity and be appreciated as valued members of our society as they age. And whereas Cayuga County can transform how we talk about, perceive, and approach aging by celebrating the contribution of all ages in the workplace and community, avoiding ageist statements when talking about growing older, promoting fact-based messages about older adults, abilities, and contributions, and emphasizing the many positive aspects of aging. Now then, moving forward, therefore, be it, I resolve, John Banana, Chair of the Cayuga County Legislature, do hereby proclaim May 2025 to be Cayuga County Older Americans Month. I urge every resident to celebrate our older citizens, help to create an inclusive society, and accept the challenge of flexible thinking around aging. Congratulations.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks everybody for having us. I want to introduce the head of our advisory committee for the Office for the Aging, Bev Centers. We normally accept this proclamation as a team, and so our advisory committee is very important to all that we do at the Office for the Aging. I also want to introduce our staff, Nicole Sidoris, to come up. And Nicole, I had been in Albany all day today, and so Nicole was all ready to take over and do the presentation today for our volunteers. So I'm going to welcome her into that position and go back and sit down.
We'll start with, we have 3 senior citizens that are receiving their plaques tonight. One can't be with us, but we have someone to accept the award. We're gonna start with Phyllis Tanner. She's from Auburn. Hey, Nightingale will be the legislator. Phyllis Tanner's family moved to Auburn when she was 7 years old. She attended Auburn schools and worked at Cromer's Bakery, WTC Grants, Dunn & McCarthy, and Welch Allen. Currently a widow, Phyllis was married to her second husband, Bob, for 53 years. Together, they raised 4 children, with 2 currently living in the area. She has 10 grandchildren, 9 great-grandchildren, and 5 great-great-grandchildren, who live mostly nearby. Phyllis moved to the Boyle Center in 2012, and according to Jill Hubbard, Boyle Center Service Coordinator, Phyllis is someone tenants and staff grow to rely on. She has been a natural leader and trusted confidant to many. She is the floor captain for several floors, ensuring residents are accounted for, have important information, and know that they can rely on her in a friendly ear. She's loyal to participate in the new tenants welcome meeting each month and serves on the Boyle program board for many years. Phyllis has taught Bible study at the Boyle Center for 10 years, leads exercise class twice a week, where she confidently guides participants in 40 different moves. We often see her when we leave.
40 different moves.
She's currently filling in a leadership role with the Silver Songbirds, a group of women who enjoy singing and performing in local places such as the Tomato Fest and seniors living facilities. Phyllis has helped as a registration table volunteer at our popular Senior Moments Fair for the last 3 years at the mall. Before moving to Boyle Center, Phyllis was a volunteer at Matthew House for 10 years and also helped at the Finger Lakes Center for Living. She taught Sunday school for many years and is a longtime member of the Church of Nazarene, calling it her home away from home. Phyllis believes there is always something good in everybody. She says, God put me here for a reason, to help people love each other and get along. She advises, if you can make someone smile, it's worth it.
I accept this gladly. Unworthily, I never like to be in the spotlight, but thank you all for this.
Yeah, thank you. Next, we have Terry Fitzmaurice, also from the Auburn area. So Heidi will stay up here. Over here. Okay. Terry is originally from Wolcott, New York, but has made Auburn her home for the last 35 years. Together, her and her husband have 4 children and 8 grandchildren. She is a graduate of SUNY Brockport and Nazareth College with a bachelor's and master's degree in teaching. She retired in 2013 after teaching first grade and kindergarten in Wolcott and North Rose for 33 years. Soon after retiring, Terry was encouraged to volunteer at The Home, an adult care facility here in Auburn, where she says she found a purpose after retirement and was able to really feel the impact of what she did. Soon, she was a member of the board of managers and headed up the fundraising for the organization for quite a while. She worked closely with the staff and other volunteers to coordinate various activities and events to raise money to provide holiday decorations, gifts, celebratory cakes, and other special items for the residents. According to Claire Garnup, director of The Home, Terry raised thousands of dollars over the years for our resident council, enhancing the lives of our residents. Terry has spent 15 years on the board of managers, 2 years as vice president and 3 years as president. This is making history as the first woman on this board since The Home opened in 1865. When the pandemic hit in 2020, Terry and her husband volunteered for the Meals on Wheels and continued for about 4 years. When she's not volunteering, Terry enjoys gardening and yearns to grow the perfect tomato every year. According to Terry, focusing on doing small things with love, you can enhance the lives of others and bring happiness every time you reach out as a volunteer.
I appreciate this honor, and I just want you to know that the motto at the home is where my heart is, and there's so much wonderful things going on at the home. And, it's, keeps me busy. And I agree with the other woman that was up here before that, you know, if we can just give back a little bit, you would be amazed at how much happiness
Yeah.
that can bring. Even just a little card or a smile is, just so important to people who are older than me. And they really enjoyed it. So I appreciate, this honor and, I'm glad that I could be here tonight to share this with all of you. Thank you.
And then lastly will be Kathy Fick, who is not able to be here, but the person that honored her with the application is Dorothy LaFoon. So she will come as well as she is a resident of Moravia. So we have Mark Strong. Kathy Fick is a lifelong resident of Summer Hill, New York, and a graduate of Moravia schools. She and her husband, Jack, together have 6 children, 11 grandchildren, 9 great-grandchildren. Kathy worked for Smith Corona in her early years, and since then, the couple had dedicated to homesteading throughout their life together and had logging firewood businesses for many years. Kathy is certified to teach food preservation and is a master of herbal medicine and technology. She has spent many years demonstrating and teaching homesteading skills such as food canning, freezing and drying, keeping honeybees, tanning, and quilting. Kathy was nominated by Dorothy LaFoon for her work to bring food resources to the community. Kathy worked to establish the Moravia Farmers Market in 1996, which moved several times before finding a permanent location at Kinney Drugs. She advocated through Senator Mike Nozzolio and the Farmers Market Federation to begin using WIC and the Sears Farmers Market coupons for accepting them at the farmers market in Moravia, allowing people of all income levels to obtain fresh produce. Kathy looks for opportunities to help others. While serving as a Salvation Army volunteer in 2009, she realized the food bank distribution through the Salvation Army in St. Alfonso's resulted in an excess that couldn't be used in Auburn. So Kathy began bringing the remaining food to the southern part of the county, and with the help of contingents of other volunteers, supports food assistance efforts in several small rural communities. Kathy and a few others helped start the Peacemakers Quilt Guild in Moravia in 2002, a group that provides quilts for disaster victims, non-for-profit fundraising, nursing home residents, and others in need. She also was part of 4-H and volunteered as a leader for 5 years and has been a member and volunteer with the Moravia Methodist Church and New Hope Church. Kathy's advice to others is if you find a need, fill it. Don't hesitate. You will find the time some way, somehow.
And
Thank you, congratulations.
I will be accepting this for Kathy Fick. We were both members of the Mid Lakes Methodist Church in New Hope. Anyway, she's done way more than what you have.
Right.
She's very well, I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. On behalf of the legislature, congratulations to Phyllis, Terry, and Kathy. We are grateful for your dedication to our communities and helping to make Cayuga County a great place to live and make it special, which we all believe it is. With that said, we have a public hearing tonight, 315-294-0851, if you wish to be heard.
80, it was 8051.
8051, 315-294-8051. A local law providing for the salary increases for certain county officers elected or appointed for a fixed term during their term. No comment, we will move on. We have 3 presentations tonight from the legislative body. We're going to begin tonight with Mr. Botar. He's going to give us an update on broadband. Mr. Botar.
I'm back. Chairman asked me to come for you tonight and just give you an update on the status of the broadband project. Let me just review. One shared county legislature over the past 6 months, 9 months, 12 months that we've been working on this. But as you may recall, Central New York Regional Planning Board, we have applied for a major grant, State of New York, Public Connect All Office to secure funding to build out broadband infrastructure here in Cayuga County and in Portland County. In January of this year, January, February time period, we received formal notice from the state that we've been awarded a grant, $26.1 million, which is for us, and I think for many communities here in Central New York, rural areas, is certainly a very large sum of money. Again, the money is to cover the cost of literally building broadband fiber infrastructure, primarily serving the rural areas, some of the main routes and routes throughout Cayuga County and a portion of Cayuga County. We've been working our way through the state legal process with various funding documents, legal agreements. The state is strongly encouraging us at this point to proceed with the project. We're under some very, very tight deadlines to get the project funded. The deadline is driven by the source of the funding. So the funding comes from, it's ARPA funding way back several years ago, during the initial period of the COVID-19 pandemic, but funding was provided by Congress to the U.S. Treasury Department to establish what is called a capital fund. And in the capital fund, one of the uses of the money that's specifically identified is to build out broadband infrastructure in unserved or underserved areas in the United States. And the way the program works, Treasury holds the money, states apply, or Treasury Department. State of New York at an allocation of about $650 million. The state made these funds available for public entities to apply to secure money to build up structure in their respective communities. In some cases, individual municipalities, a town or a city, applied for the funds. A number of counties across the state of New York applied for the funds. In the case here in Central New York, Oswego County was an applicant. They do have an award of just under $30 million. And in the case of Cayuga and Cortland counties, I think many of you recall, I've been talking about broadband for probably 2 or 3 years to you. And neither county wanted to be the applicant for the funds. So we stepped up as the regional planning board. Informed us, we're a member county of the regional planning board. We applied for the money. And lo and behold, we got an award. So where we're at now is we really need to begin implementing the project. And one of the first steps is to secure funding from Cayuga and Cortland counties, interim construction funding, $7 million that we requested from Cayuga County last year, and that you passed a resolution in December of 2024, committing, subject to a whole lot of caveats, to providing the $7 million in the form of an interim loan to the regional planning board. We now are at the point in the process where we need both counties to step forward and provide the money. In a nutshell, we need to get the project underway in July of this year in order to meet the deadline of December of 2026. It's quite a tedious process, more on the administrative side than on the construction side. The first thing we need to do is apply, first major step, it's a significant amount of money, is to apply to the various utility companies that own the utility poles that we're going to attach the fiber to. You have to get permits from those utility companies to attach anything to the poles. So you have to apply for the permits. And it takes a long time for the utility companies. So National Grid, NICEAG, Verizon, Frontier, these are the major parties we have to apply to it. It takes them a fair amount of time to process your pole application permit. It can take 6 to 9 months for the process to be complete. And when you apply, you have to make a payment to your utility. So we have approximately 6,000 utility poles across the 275-mile network that we're proposing to build. 200 of those miles within Cayuga County. And the cost to get the utility permits for the 6,000 poles is going to be about $1.5 million. And basically, you got to pay up front. That money they use to cover their cost to evaluate your application for a permit. And so as you can see, if we file our permit applications July of this year, you have to make payments, July, August, September, that time period, in order for them to begin processing our applications. That would take us into approximately April 2026, when we would have all of our permits. Now they'll come in over the course of months. They don't all come in April or March of 2026, but we'll start receiving our permits in October. We'll have the final permits in hand. We should have it in by March of 2026. Then there's a process. You have your permits called make ready. So you got to get the poles ready to attach your fiber to that. So they may have to move other equipment that's attached to the poles. You have to make the pole ready. So that takes at least 3 months. And then we would then begin actually building out the fiber in the summer of 2026. About a 4-month process for us to get built out this 275-mile network. So as you can see with this very general outline and time frame, we got to get going. We can't wait any longer. There have been a number of issues that have come up in recent months. In 2025, raised by both representatives here in Cayuga County and also in Portland County, legislators in both counties. Some obvious issues and some obvious concerns. So this is a federal grant. And as we all know, in reading just the media reports, at the federal level, there have been many grants that have been terminated or cut back or eliminated during the first quarter of the new administration. This grant and this program has not been touched as of today. And I view that as a positive sign that this program will survive going forward. So that was one of the major issues that has come up. Our strategy, both in my office and talking with the chairman, has been, in January, February, March, April, kind of sit quiet and see if anything happened at the federal level. So kind of buying time to see if there was going to be any steps to eliminate the program. That has not happened. Second important thing relative to the federal grant is we do know the state of New York has provided information to us, to me, that they've been able to draw down the first allocation of the $650 million. So in middle of April, they got a disbursement of $47.5 million from the U.S. Treasury Capital Fund. And the way the program is set up, the states can get an advance of money that they will hold and reimburse us as we build out the project. And so they got $47.5 million literally in their bank account from this program. When the grants came, right, it's That's a positive sign that money was actually, electronically transferred from the Treasury Capital Fund to the state of New York. So on the grant side, candidly, I'm encouraged at this point, I think cautiously encouraged that this program will proceed. There have been issues. A second area that was raised is we learned after my presentations last year that counties are going to bond for the money to lend to the regional planning boards. There are numerous requirements, state requirements for county to bond, and one of those issues was to have an ownership interest in the asset that they're lending money to. So this issue I was not aware of this issue when we presented last year. We're taking steps, working with your legal counsel, your bond counsel, my legal counsel, to put in place the necessary agreements to limit or restrict the county's sort of exposure and get way out on the limb here from an ownership interest. Part of those steps is forming a nonprofit local development corporation that will actually be the legal entity that will enter into the construction contracts, actually build out this system. And then the third issue is one of timing. Can we get it done by December of 2026? And candidly, again, it will be a challenge, but we are working with ECC Technologies, which has been our consultant on this project for several years, and with the state of New York. We believe if we can go forward now, get the funding approved in June of this year, then we can go ahead and file the whole application permits in July. And if we can meet that schedule, we think we can get the project. It has to be substantially complete by December of 2026. And we think we can get it done by that deadline. The only caveat really is we can't wait any longer. We must have county action, both Cayuga and Portland, in the month of June, go forward, get bonding to pass the necessary bond resolution, and take the steps to provide the funding to the regional planning board for the project. So time is of the essence now. Candidly, again, strategy-wise, we weren't sitting dormant. ECC Technologies has been working on some preliminary design for the project. And our legal counsel has been working with your county attorney, Cortland County's attorney, and your bond attorney to begin to put the legal structure in place. So that work was going on behind the scenes, but we kind of slow walked this a little bit to be sure that to give more time for what was happening in Washington. But we're out of time now. We got to pick up our pace substantially. One last point, Cortland County. There was a meeting, special meeting of the Cortland County Legislature this past Thursday evening, and they voted 16-1 to proceed with the project and directing their county attorney to work in partnership with your attorney and your bond counsel to get the necessary legal document in place in June. So that's the update from Portland. Chairman, you've been in on all of these conversations. I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
Yes, sir. First of all, I just want to clarify that we're not going to bond for this. We're actually going to ban or RAN, which are bond anticipation notes or revenue anticipation notes. Those are notes that are issued for a short term up to a year that are rolled over up to 5 years that allow us to basically, it's a bridge into bonding. And this project will never go for bonding. And I'd like you to explain a little bit more about that, David, about the payback schedule on the commitment that $7 million is a ban up front for bond anticipation notes, but we'll be receiving that money back over the term of this project and then with interest to offset those revenue expenses that we have. You could explain that more.
Yeah, so again, this is, internally, it's going to be a bit of a cash flow, not a bit, it'll be a project driven by cash flow. So we get the county money in first, we start incurring costs, then we submit claims to the state to get reimbursed for some of our costs. But in terms of the project schedule, again, substantially complete by December of 2026. And then in the first quarter of 2027, we would submit our final paperwork and final claim to the state. And we are hopeful that the state will reimburse us any remaining balance on the grant by July of 2027, at which time we would then reimburse the county for any outstanding principal and interest on your loan to the regional planning board and for the project. So that's the time frame. So it's defined. And again, everything really ties together. We have to proceed, we have to meet milestones, we got to get the project done.
And just for clarity, we need to commit to making the $7 million available. And it needs to be clear that we are in support of contributing $7 million. If we do this short-term ban, I guess I'm trying to understand, I don't know how long that takes, but you will need at minimum $1.5 million from us in July. Whether this.
Fair question. So what I have presented over the course of the past year candidly to simplify our life on my side of the project is you close on your ban and you transfer $7 million to the regional planning board so that we have the money sitting in the bank. The cash call on us, it's going to move quickly. So the 1.5 million is just for the permits. You know, within a matter of weeks, we'll be submitting purchase order for the fiber, which is close to another $2 million. So what I don't want to do, because the regional planning board, we have no ability to cash flow this project for us. I don't want to have to keep coming back to the county, want the money sitting in the bank account.
All of it.
All of it. And it will all be, tied to the legal agreement between the regional planning board, the two counties and the nonprofit. So it'll all be written out, but we want the money up front because if there's any delay in paying a bill in this broadband world, we got to keep the contractors working on this project. And if there's a delay in our payment to the utilities or the contractor who does the make ready or the contractor that strings the fiber, they'll walk off the job, they'll go on because there's a lot of broadband work going on in our state New York. So if there's any delay in our payments, it's going to jeopardize meeting the deadline.
We also, if I remember correctly, there was conversation that, these permits for these poles take some time. If I recall, the state was looking to expedite them and to get the regulatory commission to potentially move faster. Is that still the case?
It is, and that's certainly a very important point. If anybody has had an experience of getting a pole application, I have not, but I've been told, historically, it's a very slow process. What the state of New York has done, as the chairman just indicated, they've taken steps from the governor's office, the Connect All office, and the Public Service Commission, basically have directed the utility companies to expedite the processing of the pole application permits. So what could be 9 to 12 months is now more in the 6-month time frame. So clearly, the state is also under the gun because they know if we don't get our permits, then we're not able to meet the December 26th deadline. And there's 7 or 8 projects like ours across upstate. So we're all in the same boat, and the state is taking steps. We've heard anecdotally that the utility companies have been more responsive than traditionally. So that's encouraging at this point.
And I have one more point. There's been conversation as well. We built this trunk line. And you were speaking to me the other day and explaining about the trunk line and how this is the main line that runs through, but the state has a plan moving forward to launch a program in the future to have those trunk lines connected to residents and to do the branch shoots off the trunk line.
Yeah, there's another whole second pool of money that came out of the federal legislation. So we're accessing the US Treasury Capital Fund. There's another program, it's called BEAD, B-E-A-D, and I forget what the acronym stands for. But what the state's approach is using the Treasury Fund money to build out the backbone, the main fiber highway, in this case in Cayuga County in Portland. Once that highway is in place, then internet service providers, so companies like New Visions or Empire Access, Point Broadband, Slick, Fiber Spark. There's a host of smaller companies that will tap into the main highway that we've built to bring fiber to the local roads and the residences in your county. So what we're doing is, these companies, financially, it doesn't make sense for them to make the $26 million in building out this backbone, this main highway. The financial models don't work for them because there aren't enough customers in rural areas. And this isn't unique here. It's not unique in Central New York. It's upstate New York and across the country. So from a public policy perspective, at the federal level and states across the country, they're stepping up and making these grants available to underwrite the cost of building out the highway, the fiber highway. So then the internet service providers can come in. Some of them will get BEAD grants that will underwrite their costs, bringing fiber to the smaller roads in each of the counties. So it's a well thought out program on the state's part. What we're trying to do right is a critical first step. And if we're successful, then the internet service providers will come in, and over time, a fairly short period of time, you will see significantly improved broadband service in your county.
I'll mention real quick as well. Yep, I'll mention real quick that we have Earl Marvin, the legislator from Cayuga County as well, with us online if anyone has questions about Cayuga County's development.
Portland County?
Portland County, correct. Mr. Bank.
Question, David. I think the last time you presented to us, you mentioned that the regional planning or the non-for-profit would be keeping a portion of the 7 million for, I think, up to 7 years for maintenance and operations and just things that might pop up. And my question is that still the case, or where are we on that?
No, we have changed that aspect of business plan or the business model in light of requirements on the band finance. So because the county has to have an ownership interest for as long as the debt is outstanding, then that to use a portion of your funds to capitalize what we call an operating reserve funds would stretch out the period of time before you got your full $7 million back. So it's also very much an issue and a stumbling block for Portland County. We have gone back and working with ECC technology, and we're taking a different approach. We're going to market this resource much more aggressively early on and begin to line up customers sooner than we were anticipating. So we're going to go to the marketplace and get our customers so we don't need to ask the county to leave funds with us for operating reserve funds. So that's no longer a requirement. So when the project is physically complete, we will submit the final claim to the state and look for the state to pay on our final claim by July of 2027 and get all of your money back, all $7 million back to you, third quarter of 2027.
Mr. Strong.
After all this money's spent and everything's done, is there any guarantee that everybody in Cayuga County will have internet service?
There's, not everybody will have fiber service. We would need another $26 million. To address the need in Cortland and Cayuga County. We'll make substantial headway in addressing the unserved locations in Cayuga County. A key component is going to be the internet service providers coming along and partnering with us, looking to take advantage of this fiber network that we're building. But yeah, we'll reach significant, percentage wise, I think we're in the 75% of unserved addresses in this county will be served by this network. The remaining addresses in the state may come along with additional grant funds. They haven't indicated those to us yet. But we can't reach some of the addresses are so remote that even with these grant funds, it's not cost effective to bring fiber service to every single address in the county. But we'll have a network in place between our network and what the internet service providers are planning to do. We'll reach a significant share.
I have a question for you, or I guess it's for you, Jonathan. Just a point of clarification, the resolution we all passed prior to this, supporting this project is good enough no, it doesn't have the specific language about the financing and the,
It allows us
okay.
to move forward, but does not allow us to ban or.
Okay, so that's what'll have to be coming, a resolution, 2/3 vote to go out for a ban. Okay.
Any other questions from legislators? Mr. Botock? Thank you.
Thank you.
This time I'm gonna go a little out of order and invite Mr. Mark Esposito, President of Campus Construction Management.
Thank you for having us. For a couple of my colleagues up here also, we do have a slideshow presentation. I don't know if it was.
I got it.
Oh, perfect. All right, we put just together a quick brief presentation in our response, our proposal that we submitted for the project management services for the county office building and reviewing the conceptual plans and reports that are there. So I'm going to start off just introducing my colleagues here. Mrs. Jason Hannon, who is our Director of Project Development, Rory Fitzpatrick, who is our Director of Project Partnerships, and Mark Esposito, President of Campus Construction Management Group. Roll right through those, I'll help you out. Thank you. So just a quick presentation, about 5 minutes. We're really here to answer any of the questions that the legislature has for us with regards to our proposal. And so a little bit about Campus Construction Management Group. We've been providing construction management services for over 30 years throughout upstate New York. We've completed over 400 projects with construction management services for over $7 billion throughout upstate New York, like I talked about. We have a staff of over 150 people spread throughout upstate. And then we also have estimating in-house services. We have project planning. We've planned the majority of our projects. And then we're also an employee stock option plan company. So each one of us is an owner in the company itself, and which also helps us invest into our projects to make sure we put good plans together for successful delivery of that construction. Talk a little bit about the projects.
So campus construction is heavily into K through 12. And over the last few years, we've started to expand into the municipalities and other areas. So currently, we're working with Monroe County, Erie County Report Building, Emergency Evaluation Stabilization Services, Botanical Garden, where we're the owner representative services. We're also in Wyoming County with 5 projects totaling $8.5 million. Town of Amherst, we just signed. They're going to be building a new DPW building. And we are working with them right now for, some of the background information of where they want to put this, what exactly they want on a DPW building before they commit to building it. So we built one in Webster, New York. So they've come to see that and liked what we did there. So, and in Webster, we have over $40 million worth of projects going on. One of them is pretty close to what we have going here, where we're working on the town side with the Fairlife project. Fairlife project's a 750,000 square foot milk processing plant going in the town of Webster. Our role there was organic and kind of evolved. We're now the project coordinator. We started off just helping them. They were down a DPW commissioner, so we went in basically to fill in that role for this specific project. It went from basic note taking and it grew. I now sit at the top of the org chart for this project, managing all communications between the town and Fairlife and Haskell, who's overseeing the project from Fairlife side. We're dealing with permitting process, coordinating the town's departments and Fairlife design build team, enforcing all the commitments, and ensuring timely progression toward the certificate of occupancy. So, working daily with the town of Webster on that. So.
So like Morgan Rory talks about, we have an extensive experience with our clients in project development. We work with them on the scope, on defining scopes, prioritizing their project scopes, and then working with them on the financing, developing conceptual budgets. Almost 100% of our clients are public entities. So we completely understand the municipal bidding requirements that come with county buildings, town buildings, school districts, things of that nature. We understand we have to break the project scope down into multiple contracts. So we're very familiar with that and we live it every day. We have some major abatement work projects just exampled here. I don't believe there's been a project that we've been involved with schools that hasn't had some level of abatement associated with it. I mean, all these buildings are old. They were built in the 40s all the way up into the 70s. So there's always that burden that we deal with in developing a project. And our team to specific experience understanding what that entails and how we can help facilitate those projects and construction. Some multi-story buildings, actually Batavia City School Districts, we're actually in design right now with them. They have a 4-story building. Their ceilings are laden with asbestos plaster, and we're in the process of doing the design and conceptualizing that project delivery plan with them so that they can have clean access to their ceiling cavities and their interstitial spaces to run their mechanical equipment and their electrical services. So what we hope that you approve of us to do for you is be your project manager in identifying feasibility options for your specific county building. We'll work with the design team as well as your stakeholders, your user groups to identify what the needs are of those spaces and how we can help facilitate that. We'll identify conceptual budgeting as well as construction timelines for you. Our goal is really to be an impartial viewer of the scope of the project and what your needs are and help you progress into something that your employees and your community can be proud of. Thank you.
Kind of with those opportunities for questions for you.
So this evening, there's a resolution regarding hiring a project manager firm. I requested this position in February after observing operations for a month. I realized we need a level of expertise that represents only the best interest of the county and assist the county in decision-making to move forward while fiscally aware and responsible. So this was a process that I asked for back in February. It's taken a little bit of time to go through the full RFP process. I do believe that we need some guidance and assistance that's looking out for our interests. It does not have an interest as far as the scale of work is involved. At that point, in campus, after going through all the bids, and this was the best bid we had and recommendation brought forward. So this is an invitation for all of you to ask questions and find out anything about their company that you'd like to know. They're gracious enough to come up. All right. Well, thank you.
No, thank you very much. We look forward to the opportunity.
Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to ask Tim Carpenter on our B group to come forward. Well, Mr. Chairman, other legislators, I'm Tim Carpenter with MRV Group. Here to talk a very brief presentation on the protection project. This is a sewer project that would reach from the village of Aurora down to the Tompkins County line from the towns of Genoa and Ledyard, serving about 370 homes along the way there. We've made some progress on it, and I wanted to give you an update because we'll be looking for action in this next slide. The progress that we've made is to prepare a map plan and report, which was distributed electronically, which needs some review before next month. That map plan and report describes the sewer district that we're talking about and how it would be run. And so one thing I think is important to understand is that the map plan and report does not obligate the legislature or any residents to any financial burden at all. What we're doing here is pursuing the map plan and report in the formation of the district because we're applying for grant funding, this current round of grant funds, and having the district formed is a checkbox that gives us a leg up on the grant funding opportunities. Those grant funding opportunities would be found out, we'll find out about them in November, December. We come back to say we've been awarded this much grant money. Here's what the remaining obligation is. Those obligations for water or sewer can only be split up among the people actually benefited by the process. So even at that point, there's no further obligation to the legislature, but we come back to you for guidance on how to approach the residents of the county about moving forward or not moving forward with the project based on the costs that we have. Next slide, please. Plan then is to let you know tonight that you have the full map plan and report, about 50 pages of bedtime reading for you. If you have specific details, I'll pursue your attorney for some of the legal points through Rick Calvato and the Cayuga County Water and Sewer Authority, who I work for to prepare this plan. There are some technical details your attorney may be interested in. I think the general terms of it that you may be interested in are that it only is paid for by those folks that are benefited by the process. And then the questions about how do we get from, we have this much grant funding and we want to move forward. Do we need a vote? Do we just move forward or how do we do that? I think it's premature to talk about that until we know what the grant funding situation will be. And then I'll come back and we can discuss that roundly in November or December. So the process here would be that in June, we'd like to come back for a public meeting. I'll provide the chairman with the required paperwork that we'd like to look at there and potential resolution to form the district so that our grant funding application can move forward in the July timeframe and have the best chance of receiving grant funding through the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation grant programs that fund these kinds of projects. Those programs just announced their guidance last week, and our project falls right in the sweet spot of what they want to do. They want to protect the Finger Lakes from sewage pollution and from phosphorus and nitrogen pollution. Our project patently does that. And so this year's discussion of what they're going to fund looks promising for our project. So in June, I'll be back to answer any questions that come up between now and then and ask you to form the district. And that's where we're at. Just next slide, please. So sources, we estimate the project may be $33 million in construction. That includes a significant contingency right now of 25%. The grant funding that's available may be as much as $15 million or possibly even more. We'll have to see. And it will take just about that $15 million number to be able to return a number to you that we could recommend that residents might be able to deal with. And that might be as much as $2,000 per year per home moving forward. Again, that will be known before we decide to move forward at that point. It'll be discussed through here and through the towns and the residents that are involved with it. Next slide. That's it. So I guess we studied this for many years. The question about this is if not now, when? We've studied Hanukkah roads for years. We've talked about this for a long time. We'd really like to advance it to this grant funding stage, what the actual cost to residents would be, and then we can decide if it makes sense to move forward at that. So I'd like to thank you for funding my work on the project through the authority to prepare the map plan and report and to design the low pressure sewer system. We've got it designed to a point where it's in a shovel-ready position. Another checkbox on our grant funding application, which allows us to be ready for grant funding if any is available in this coming grant cycle. That's all I have for tonight. I'd be glad to answer any questions, but we'll be back again next month to look for action on this. Any questions, yes, Mr. Strong?
You said that the district would be including the towns of Aurora, Ledyard, and Genoa?
It's more accurate to say that it's the towns of Ledyard and Genoa, just the areas along the shoreline which are served, not the full towns. The sewage would end up at the Village of Aurora wastewater treatment plant, which would have an upgrade built into this part of this project.
So basically, this is the Honaco Road project.
This is basically the Honaco Road. It only affects the homes along the lakefront from the Village of Aurora all the way down to the Tompkins County line.
And would you need approval from each township?
No, as a partial county sewer district, this board, the legislature has the authority to form this district. We have gone and met with each town and talked to them about it. And I think in general, there's support. There are some people that don't support the project, but it doesn't require the individual support of the towns, only the formation of the district by the legislature.
Thank you.
Well, anyone else? Hey, thanks very much. I'll see you next month. This time we're at privilege of the floor. Do we have any legislators that would like to recognize anyone for privilege of the floor?
Yeah, you didn't show up?
I'd like to call, one signed in Dominic Gambiotti. Did I say that right? Yes. Dominic. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Hi, everybody. I'm back. Dominic Gambiotti. I live in Auburn. I represent Cayuga Climate Action. And after the passage of the resolution to oppose Seneca Meadows expansion, we just wanted to come back. And I'm coming back on behalf of the group to just thank you all for your approval of the resolution. I know a lot of times you get asked a lot to do things for your constituents, and I hope you get as much thanks as you get asked. So that's why we wanted to come back and just thank you for committing to the environment, committing to water quality, committing to the entire Finger Lakes region and what we stand for. And thank you.
You're welcome.
I get a motion to approve the minutes from April 2nd and April 22nd, 25.
Move to remove it.
Second, Daley?
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. See, we have an appointment on the schedule today. This time I'd like to ask Dr. Grant. I see him in the audience. Come on up.
Good to be here. Good presentation. Good evening, everyone. Good to be with you. As we're certainly in the month of May, I want to thank the chairman for participating in our commencement exercise a couple of weeks ago at Falcon Park and his attendance at our nursing training ceremony the day before. It's always a nice moment to be able to celebrate our students and to be able to see the accomplishments of so many throughout the month of May. I know in a different capacity, Legislature Holman was able to join us at our ribbon cutting and opening for the police academy on our Fulton campus that we also celebrated this month. I want to certainly thank the sheriff and city police chief as well for their support along the way. And I know we already have a number of people from a number of agencies that are being sent there to be able to take the academy and to be able to get prepared for work, which is just absolutely remarkable. I think in the inaugural class of the police academy, I think there's 36 or 37 total participants. And that definitely exceeds what we thought the first year target would be. But the number of municipalities that are participating in the project from all over the region is absolutely tremendous and remarkable. So it's already exceeding our expectations from obviously the vision for a physical facility, but the partnership with law enforcement to be able to have high quality training opportunity is just absolutely tremendous for us. And it's really nice to see it off to a good start. The other exciting things at the college this month, of course, I was able to pass out in front of you the program for our World Series that we're hosting actually currently in the middle of the semifinal game. But, as you can see, what I wanted to do to show you that is a couple of things that I think is very powerful as if you look through it. One, you can get a sense of where the teams come from across the country that are here right now in Auburn, in Cayuga County. And they've been here since Tuesday or Friday of last week, many of them. You can also see it in here, particularly this year, so many wonderful community partners that have invested as sponsors for the program itself and being celebrated within the program, have been highlighted as game sponsors and other sponsors within the actual delivering of the tournament itself. And that really is just the next step up that we've been able to experience this year by so many committed to be able to bring here. We're talking about several hundred athletes. Last Friday, I hosted a kickoff dinner that probably had somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 to 500 individuals in Spartan Hall representing each of the teams, the athletic departments, number of families and staying in hotels. And if you've been, in the city of Auburn in particular in recent days, I know Saturday and Sunday, go and grab coffee in the morning. There's 10 athletes from Illinois in there having breakfast. Stop by and get gas another day. And then there's a number of people at the convenience store that are in there trying to get a bunch of ice cream. And I think they might have sold them out. But the beauty of it is that's the exact type of thing years ago when we talked about leveraging an asset in Falcon Park. That was something that was beyond just the college. The college doesn't have a team in it, fortunately, this year. This wasn't about the college. It was about being able to leverage an asset within our community, bring hundreds of people in here that are staying, that are buying items, and are experiencing just exactly what we're about. It's their second year in a row hosting the tournament, and we're also going to be the host of the tournament again in 2027. Next year is going to be in Tennessee. So in addition to that, we also held the regional tournament for this region's junior college baseball. That was the weekend right after commencement a few weeks ago. So we continue to partner in a number of ways to bring opportunities for economic development and certainly to support the tourism and to showcase our community in the best way possible. We've done a number of other things in the last year or so that's also been different. We've hosted a couple of AAU tournaments within our Spartan Hall facility, bringing teams from all over the state and beyond here for 1 day, 2 days. And it's just our way to be able to leverage community assets and to be able to try to do our part to bring people into experience us and to showcase our facilities. So thank you as a legislature for your support over the years and really just trying to see what partnership envisioning can do beyond what otherwise would have just been, isolated to athletic facility teams. I always knew it could be bigger than that. I tried to communicate that. And although some people may think it as a sales pitch, it really was a core belief of our trustees and certainly of our leadership at the college. And I think these moments, we want to make sure we highlight that's there. I'll be fortunate and later on in June to be able to go and to thank the city council for, again, their continued support as well, like you, for the partnership and the opportunities to be able to showcase Auburn and Cayuga County and to be able to do what we can do. In addition to that, I'll just say that enrollment continues to be exceeding our target. In fact, although we're in the middle of summer one right now and week 2 of summer one, each of our parts of terms this year, I'm proud to say that we've actually exceeded not only our target for the year, but we've slightly exceeded year over year last year. And as we stand here today, we're already about 30 FTE where we ended a year ago. So this would represent the 3rd year in a row of slight growth for the college, which could be celebrated, but I actually am more focused on the stability of the enrollment and the distribution of our demographics when we look at how students are enrolling with us. A number of things we're being mindful for as we move forward, of course, is, there have been things that have impacted us this semester, this past spring in unique ways. For example, based on circumstances that, many would know better than I do, essentially much of our prison education program has been suspended. And we're hopeful it will reengage at some point, but that is something that has had to be, put on pause based on things that have been, going on and being reflected within, within the correctional facilities themselves. And so we'll continue to work with, docs and others and our partners at Cornell to be able to, re-engage and build those facilities when it's time, those programs when it's time. And they're not that they're going away, but they have been impacted. And that if we're not able to start a summer term, that impacts enrollment and impacts other things. But we're focused on, just continuing to be prepared to those things and all the other moments that happen, whatever the demographics may be. That's our job as a college, to anticipate what a risk might be, and when something happens, to be able to be agile enough to continue to move forward. Similarly, in a positive way, many of you may know that in the enacted budget, thanks to the leadership of the governor and the support of the legislature at the state, a new program has emerged that's effective right now for fall, and that is the Reconnect program, the community college for adult learners in high need and high demand workforce fields within the state. And for us, each of the has already been identifying and been working with the legislature and with the governor's office in SUNY to say, these are the eligible programs your college has. They align with state and regional needs. And those are the programs that are going to be eligible for this scholarship program. So in the coming weeks, we'll be working internally to develop our marketing plan, to develop our recruitment strategy, to help leverage things like IT, education, manufacturing, healthcare, and a number of other programs that just logically make sense, right? The beautiful part about it is the legislation at the state level certainly reflects programs that we offer. It reflects our regional need. And we agree that if we're going to continue to try to retrain and retool the current, citizenry for these already existing jobs that are companies are in high demand for, that trying to be incentivize more non-traditional or adult learners, as we tend to frame it, is the right marketplace for a couple of reasons. One, we know that if someone's already living here and beyond the age of 25 and certainly 30 and 40, they would be more likely to be able to stay after getting an education. We know that there are also individuals that are likely to be already aware of the wonderful companies or organizations that exist that have these high demand jobs, that are putting themselves in a position to say, I want to be part of that. And I know this short-term or longer-term education training program will put themselves in the right position to be able to frontline for those interviews. And we also know that, lots have been talked in recent years about Micron, and it's an amazing opportunity that we have so many already here that have such demand for their employment. And so for us to be able to be connected and having another tool that focuses on the financial aspect for tuition and fees that the program will bring these potential and current students, it also will give us a chance to say, how do we leverage those financial resources to then challenge ourselves to see if we can be a little bit more innovative, to have some learning communities, some cohorts, some targeted programming, to be able to even align so that way that the education can fit into a life to match the financial support that the governor and the legislature is supporting. And so in the coming weeks and months, I expect I'll be talking to you about some of the pilot programs and things that we're going to be rolling out to the community to try to match the same support that the financials bring when it comes to our recruitment and retention strategy at the college. So just stay tuned. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Gray? Yes, Mr. Knight.
Just a comment, I feel we should compliment the trustees and the leadership at the college. A number of years ago, they started with the different things related to the local industry and everything. But I think in the last couple of years, the college has shown, at least to me, it's much more dynamic and flexible than it has been in the past. And as we all know, education is changing so fast right now. If you don't keep up, we're going to fall way behind. And I think our college has really shown, that it can be dynamic and flexible to keep up with today's changes in education, especially after high school. So again, I'd like to compliment you and your staff and the Board of Trustees. Thank you.
Anyone else? I just want to say thank you as well, just for this fact that I really enjoyed attending commencement with the nursing pinning ceremony. The excitement of the graduates and I get to tell they have real zeal and the excitement they shared. It was just not, you can see that participate. Thank you, Dr. Gray. This week, just give you some updates. This week, several vendors under the supervision of Sessler Environmental have been able to access the basement and maintenance of critical systems. This access is critical for our chiller data 911 infrastructure still occupying our building, and this is in reference to the basement area per the scope of work that was provided in the emergency resolution. We will be conducting, I plan on conducting a special ledge meeting on June 12th. At the conclusion of committee meetings, Thursday, June 12th, so everybody is aware. We will also be addressing broadband at that time. I'm pleased to announce that our search committee and our search has concluded for a buildings and grounds supervisor. The committee has decided on a candidate, and the candidate was notified today and is awaiting legislative approval. A resolution will also be coming forward at the June special ledge meeting regarding buildings and grounds supervisor. I was not on the committee. Legislator Vitale was. I've heard a lot of good things from the folks that were on the committee about the candidate, so I'm excited to meet him and move this forward for our buildings and grounds team. Discussions regarding potential space for DMV and emergency services has begun. I look forward to bringing a presentation to the special meeting regarding spaces as well. In June, myself, along with the chair of Ways, our budget director and oversight chair will be meeting with our larger departments to evaluate current budget performance and forecast regarding fiscal year 25 and looking at current year reductions while establishing expectation for fiscal year 26. So just so you're aware, they'll be being scheduled. Mayor will be reaching out, and we're gonna have a sit down with the committee chairs and the department heads of the larger departments, along with Ways and Means and myself and Lynn Marinelli to discuss both FY 25 and potentially as we look forward to FY 26. So I'll be on the lookout for that as well. With that stated, let's move on to resolution, Ways and Means.
We have appointments.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, appointments. Anybody else? Appointment. I'm sorry, Mr. Strong.
I just comment under my section here. I'd like to wish happy birthday. In case anybody didn't know,
Today? Okay, yeah.
39, 39 and older.
Shall we break out in song?
Yeah. If you lead the way, I don't know if anyone will follow you. You know. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Before we move on to Ways and Means, we have a public hearing. Phone number is 315-294-8051. That's 315-294-8051. If you wish to speak on the public hearing. In an hour. Regarding a local law providing for the salary increase for certain officials. It's because we had those long presentations. But you can close it. All right. If no one's here to speak on the public hearing, we are going to close the public hearing then. And we'll close it at 7:13 now. And with that,
Okay. Ways and Means had 2 resolutions this month. I'd like to go over them individually because I'd like to make a friendly amendment, Ways and Means 2, and actually say some things about that as well. But Ways and Means 1 is authorizing the county treasurer to pay mortgage tax. These are the appropriations that will be made to the city and the towns and villages. Unless anyone has any questions, I'd entertain a motion for Ways and Means 1.
I'll move on.
Sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Ways and Means 2, which is the hiring restriction resolution. I'm hoping to the county attorney, where the amendment was made, the actual clear term is care management, not care managers, not case managers. So we just changed the S to an R.
Sure.
Okay. And you know, I do want to say a couple things about this. I think personally, we spent a significant amount of time when we presented this talking about revenue. And of course, yes, it is the case, both the social workers and these care managers, the 2 of them, provide third-party reimbursement in excess of their salary and fringe benefits. But I think the reason, honestly, that the staff social worker was included in this resolution is more than just the revenue. The staff social worker is the critical position when we're hit, as long as the county has decided to have an Article 31 mental health clinic, these are the staff that actually see patients and address the mental health needs of people in the community. Care managers have a set of patients that are under Medicaid managed care that need supports and services to have better health outcomes. So yes, in fact, there are reimbursements to them, But as I said, until or unless we no longer have a mental health clinic, we do, I think, appropriately need to staff it. So now I would ask for a motion for WM2.
Move it. A second for discussion.
Okay. Discussion?
Like to make an amendment to WM2. Like to add road deputies from the sheriff's department to the exclusion.
Okay. Does anyone want to second that?
Second.
Okay. Can I have a motion? Yeah.
We have discussion on it.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Discussion on it first. We also, we're, now, I just found out today that they made the phone call and the offer. This was, obviously the time is not great, but I need to add building and grounds to it as well.
No, that had already passed prior. Diane had called before, and yes, anything that was in the works is continued to be authorized.
All right, discussion on road patrol. I have a question for the sheriff. If you had a deputy leave today, how long would it take you to actually fill a position for road patrol?
To fill a position to be working on their own?
Yep.
Probably 18 months.
Okay, and then as far as the next academy class, when is that scheduled? They could actually get somebody into if you didn't take a lateral transfer.
If we didn't take a lateral transfer, probably one in the fall in academy.
And then if you took a lateral transfer, I mean, what are we looking at for background investigation to get somebody on the books?
Probably a month and a half, 2 months.
Okay. Because we're only a couple months away from the August deadline. That always make I'm just saying that I don't think that a road patrol deputy leaving would really make a difference as far as the timeline it takes and what we're looking at with the expiration date here in August. We've all kind of said. That's just my discussion is all.
Wait, what do I have to do now? Motion for the amendment?
No, you don't have to do anything.
We're still into it.
We have discussion, so.
Okay.
There's no further discussion.
I just want, Mark, can you just like explain a little bit of what you read? Like, is it because of the delay of hiring? Like, cause I missed.
No, we just have a couple exclusion for positions. So right now, if you look at this, Brian, so you have county attorneys or social services staffing because we're really drastically behind, right?
Yeah.
Caseworkers and social services.
So we're adding the sheriff.
Because they have openings right now that they haven't been able to fill. And their caseworkers are carrying about 52 or 53 cases when they should be carrying about 15 to 20. Staff social workers and case managers, I believe part of that is also with the mental health. They have required work and these are critical positions as well for what they do as soon as case loads. Custody officers in the jail are required to have custody positions. Right now, we have 7 openings in the jail. We are continually recruiting, so that allows those to fill. The seasonal workers who apply to like Emerson Park and folks that come in for seasonal work over the summer, and the 911 positions, because 911 is also a continual recruitment, and we have vacancies there to continue to recruit and fill. So those were the exceptions that were made at this time. Mr. Strong would like to add road patrol deputies to that list. That's the current motion on the floor. All right, so without any further ado, on the motion to amend, to add road patrol deputies. No further discussion on the amendment, on the amendment made. All in favor? Because we have to vote on the amendment, so we're voting on the amendment to add road patrol deputies. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Hands.
See hands. 1, 2, 3, and we have 4. So the passes.
As amended.
Now, as amended. I need a motion in a second.
So let me understand what just happened. If this resolution passes, we're going to be adding road deputies,
Adds road patrol to the list.
even though they're not mandated and even though it's only till August 31st. We're going to be picking that position up and adding it, and then others as well. I mean.
That's the current amendments for road patrol deputies.
Oh, my God.
I'll make the motion for discussion.
Motion on the first, and you got a second? All right, now discussion on the amendment as the resolution is amended.
Mr. Chairman, so I understand where we're headed with this, and I don't disagree with it. It's just that I'm in the dark in terms of what is the gap that we're trying to close. where is more information about the budget? How is the budget performing? We're halfway through the year, just about. I don't have a sense of like, what's a target, right? What's a strategy? So I understand we're probably going to be operating in a pretty significant deficit, which is why I'll support this, but I just don't know how to measure that. So I'm hopeful that we'll get some information.
Yeah, as you alluded to, we got a $5.6 million budget, deficit actually. And with that said, one of the steps we took place earlier this year was we established the personnel committee, which was to slow the process down and then review positions and fill them through. There's positions that we haven't filled due to that. And then right now, again, the process is slow it down so we can actually evaluate positions further. And as we look towards next month's budget meetings, we start working with department heads potentially about reductions and saving funds. It's also about identifying positions. So it's just taking a pause to continue to identify positions and see if we may or may not be able to continue with potentially through attrition instead of letting people off.
So based on what was passed here, outside of road patrol, everything else is
State mandated services.
Right.
You have to.
the non-mandated.
Even in jail, there's the jail deputies per se. You have to have so many number of deputies per the potential population, right?
Yes.
During the day, they have so many inmates, they have so many guards. Well, we also have so many pod availability. So you have to have that staffing. Currently, we're a little bit below that due to the staff that we haven't been able to fill positions. Same thing with ESS, but we're in a continual recruitment mode. So
Yes,
this
I
just allows us
understand.
to continue that continual recruiting mode.
Well, I am looking forward to more concrete information about where we currently are and where we're headed. And I just don't have my mind wrapped around a specific strategy of how we're going to move forward as a county.
And this, like I said, June, we're going to start having budget talks again. I look forward to presenting much more detailed information to the legislature next month.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
And I'm looking at the second whereas to be fiscally responsible and preserve essential services. We have a list of titles. As you pointed out, several of these are from areas of the county where we're mandated to do this work. But we are leaving out some pieces of work that are mandated, are not listed on this work, on this list. For instance, the Department of Social Services is going to be impacted by 2 retirements, 40-year retirements, people with a remarkable institutional history that essentially make sure that the clients that we serve are fully vetted application-wise for Medicaid. This is everything from Medicaid and all other applications, HEAP and TANF, daycare, Medicaid and all services. So if we don't include those folks, then, and these are retirements that are happening. They haven't been requested. One just happened. One just announced the retirement at the end of June. We could go 3 months without a single person looking at applications, looking at the examiner application. So I'm just warning that we're fraught with we're mandated to make sure people get services and that we get appropriate reimbursement for that. So in some ways, I'm cautioning us to shoot our own feet.
Are you proposing an amendment?
Well, I would, but I think there's one on the floor that needs to be voted on.
No, we already voted on it.
We voted on it already. We have the bill as presented. The next vote will be on the bill unless you have another amendment.
And
This is the motion on the resolution as
As
amended.
amended.
Yes.
Oh, so you can't add on top, you gotta defeat.
Yeah, you can do another amendment.
You can add on top, because we passed this, because we're passing. the
Right,
resolution.
as
We already passed the amendment, now we have to pass the resolution as amended, which.
Take another amendment?
We could make more amendments
And
More
right now.
amendments.
I guess I was very well aware that the head welfare examiner is going to be retiring at the end of July. Totally aware of that. there's an opportunity, if that has to be critically filled, that this resolution rolls over September 1st. There could be different exceptions. There could be a head social welfare examiner position put in here as an exemption. So this is a short period of time. I'm hearing Jonathan say, I'm going to be taking positions, various positions in various departments are not going to be filled. This is an opportunity. We already have 31 individuals that are in the pipeline to be filled. That was on Diane's report. All this will do will be able to give us a set of positions that from last month through the budget time that we put a hold on. We have the ability to look at those, see if they're critical, see if they need to be filled, and see if the case can be made they would be budgeted for either after September 1st through the end of the year or into 2026. And if we can't afford to fill all the positions because we can't afford the structural deficit, then there's an opportunity to reduce them. I mean, there is no magic way to get out of what we're in. This is just a start.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've all heard we're looking at a deficit, budgetary, we're going down the road we don't want to. I know Mr. Vitale has said in the past, use financial crisis as a term. I see this resolution. Is it the big magic answer that's going to wipe everything out right now? No, but I see this as at least it's a good commitment of scratching the surface of this legislative body, taking an attempt to get our fiscal situation in order. And
Heidi brings up a good point, and actually, you kind of jogged my memory, Heidi, from last week. I would like to offer an amendment to include the title of Human Services Examiner. Is that, what is the title that
It's the senior.
we're expecting? Okay, the Senior Human Service Examiners.
The retirement is the head social welfare examiner.
I'd like to include that title as a title. I was notified about the critical nature of that position, and it would concern me if we can't fill that right away.
Yes. That is first.
So you're asking to add to the exception, the head social welfare examiner in the Department of Social Services?
Are you expecting one retirement or two?
There's already one,
Right.
which the department, not knowing that this was developing,
That's what I
didn't
thought.
happen to
Okay.
put through the personnel committee. Then they learned that another one, it's actually the end of June, it's within weeks,
It's the same title.
same time.
Yes, okay. So yes.
They have a few hours on there
So that, I'm offering that amendment
for one position or.
for the title,
The title.
the senior service senior.
So I have
It's head social welfare examiner, and we have one of them.
Welfare examiner?
Head social welfare examiner is, I don't know what they're trying to do.
Well, this would be, I don't know if you would know, Heidi, since you're the oversight chair. Do you know what's the proper title of it, or?
Jen Marshall's on the
Is
line.
it Phil Bosso?
Can we ask it?
Head social welfare.
Jen, can you hear me?
Poor Jen's like,
Yeah, I put her on the spot. There she is.
I'm here.
Okay.
It's the head social welfare examiner. And the other position was the supervising social services investigator.
How many investigators do you currently have?
2. We had 4 at the start of this year.
Thank you, Jen.
Yep.
so that would be my amendment to include both of those.
Both titles or just?
Both titles, both titles.
Both times.
They have 2 people, 2
So I
positions.
have a first, we don't have a second. I do need to get a second for it.
I'll second
If
for,
we got a second, that's fine.
I'll second for
Further
discussion.
discussion, Mr. Winslow.
when are these positions anticipated to be vacant?
One currently is, I understand, right? Or
I don't know.
I said one currently is.
In my last discussion with the department heads, yes, there's one that's currently vacant. And one, unless I see Jen wants to.
The supervising social services investigator is already vacant. The person retired at the end of last month. And the head social welfare examiner is retiring on June 30th.
Okay, so was the vacant one that's vacant now, was the request already put in to have that one filled?
No.
We wanted it to be for this month, but they said no, we had to hold it.
Any other comments or discussion? Yes.
I got a question for Richard. My understanding is that if an emergency does arise where we need a particular person, the legislature by majority vote could override this policy?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
and
I wanted to hear, thank you.
I mean, but yes, you can change the resolution or its impact down the road if boards so chose.
Any other comments or questions? All right, no further discussion. We have to vote on it as amended. Did anybody like to be reminded of what the new legislature bill states, or are we all aware?
Is it just one amendment?
I feel like we would need to vote on this amendment.
At this point.
Seconded it.
You gotta vote on the amendment.
Right.
That's why I think that
We got a first and second.
this should be.
At this point, Mr. Chairman, can you clarify what we are voting on?
So what we're voting on right now is to add the amendment that legislative Nab Coleman made, to add 2 positions. The senior human service examiner and the head social service examiner and the supervising investigator. That's what I currently have.
Because the road deputy amendment already passed.
It already passed.
Okay.
Correct. That amendment's already tied in the bill. We didn't
We didn't pass it as amended, so
No.
I think the motion on the res as amended needs to be rescinded to then vote on the next
No,
one.
no,
Because we have a
no,
motion on it.
If what I understand to be is if we vote on this bill with the road
Yeah.
patrol deputies as amended, that passes the legislation and we move on to the next resolution like we traditionally do.
No, I don't.
No.
So, right, so this is why we have to vote on the current.
We need to vote on this amendment alone.
Which amendment?
You have.
The one to add supervising social services investigator and the one, and to add the head social welfare examiner.
Okay. We have on the table a resolution that has been amended. We have a proposed second amendment to that resolution. So vote on the second proposed amendment to the original resolution that has been amended. So then, when you decide, then you will vote on the resolution with either the First Amendment and or the Second Amendment, not or, but either with or without the Second Amendment.
But you already passed the first one.
Not.
No, we didn't. We haven't passed the
I didn't
first
think-
one. It's on the table.
The
The
resolution.
first one as amended is on the table with a proposal for a second amendment. So the question is, do you want the Second Amendment or not? If not, then you go back to voting on the resolution with the First Amendment. If you want to add the Second Amendment, then you will vote on the resolution with both amendments.
Correct.
So we didn't vote on the first one. I thought we did.
No, I didn't.
We
Voted
voted
on
on
the amendment.
the amendment of the first one, not on the bill as a whole.
Okay, that's what I'm
As
saying.
far as the whole, right, yes.
Is everybody?
Up,
We'll just vote on the second amendment.
We're just voting on the second amendment is all we're voting on, all right?
to the Constitution or to this?
So, wait a minute. We're voting to add the 2 people to the road deputy amendment and pass it all at once as one?
That is correct.
Yes, it is. We didn't vote on the road patrol
Yes, we did.
amendment.
You added it as an amendment to.
This resolution, the road patrol deputies. And then did we vote on that?
It was 5-4.
No.
No.
You voted on the amendment. If we could have this one voice at a time. You have a resolution, you have an amendment to that resolution that was agreed to by the board.
Okay,
all right, which was to add the road patrol.
that's already done.
Over. That amendment is done, not the resolution as a whole.
Okay,
We haven't
then,
voted on the
yes.
resolution yet.
okay, we haven't voted on that resolution yet.
Correct, but you
Okay.
did vote on an amendment.
Okay,
So you have one amendment. Now the question is, do you want the second?
Ready to vote?
Is everybody clear? All in favor, all in favor of adding the head social service examiner and the supervising investigators, any amendment to this bill? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Now we get to vote on the bill as amended, which is the bill including the road patrol and the two positions we just added. Can I get a motion and a second?
I'll move it as amended twice.
Louise amended.
I'll second it.
Got a second as amended twice. All in favor of the WM2 as amended, with the amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Two.
I was opposed to.
Got two.
Okay.
Legislator Nightingale, Health and Human Services.
Mr. Chair, Health and Human Services had 5 resolutions, both all passed through the committee and Ways and Means. HH1 through the Health Department is authorizing the chair and the Health Department Director to enter into a 2-year agreement with New York State Department of Health. This is to continue our rabies program with a grant continuation of just over $26,600.
Motion was second for HH1.
Move it.
Second.
Any discussion on HH1? Without further discussion, all in favor of HH1?
Aye.
Any opposed?
HH2 is amending the social services budget of 2025 to accept funding for the rental supplement program. This is in the amount of $268,000.
I'll move to.
Second.
Any discussion on HH2? Without further discussion on HH2, all in favor of HH2?
Aye.
Any opposed?
HH3 authorizes the Commissioner of Social Services to fill a caseworker vacancy in the child welfare unit.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, first and second for HH3, any discussion? Okay, all in favor of HH3?
Aye.
Any opposed?
HH4 authorizes the Chair and the Commissioner of Social Services to renew a contract with Rescue Mission for homeless family and transitional housing. The contract amount is $103,000.
First and second,
Move it.
I'll second it.
any discussion on HH4? These are reimbursed dollars, I'm assuming.
State.
Dollars.
Can I ask how much the reimbursement percentage is?
It's a grant. So it's a 100% funded grant.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor of HH4?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The HH5 through mental health establishes a contract with independent licensed psychologists to cover the court-ordered 730 competency evaluations at a rate of $350 to $400 per evaluation, with an additional amount at an hourly rate for involvement in things like court proceedings.
Mark.
Second.
Thank you. First and second, any discussion? Without further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Legislator Nightingale. Legislator Muldrow.
Thank you. I have one resolution, Chair, GO1, authorizing the chairman of the legislator and the chief information officer to enter an agreement with the city of Auburn for information technology and IT management services.
Get a first and second.
First.
I'll second. Thank you. Mr. Chair. Discussion, this is the resolution that we worked out with agreement with the city of Auburn. Provide a partnership with IT services. As you can see at the last resolve, there is a contract with a revenue for the county. 13 months with the current first year's revenue of $108,000, which is at the bottom of the resolution as well to offset the cost of any county services that we provide. Any further discussion? Without further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. Legislator Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. PL one is awarding the contract for grant funded consultant services for the Village of Moravia Small Project Grant Fund awarded through New York Forward.
Move it, Mark.
Second.
I'll second.
First and second, discussion. Without further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Legislator Vitale.
Public Works has two resolutions. PW one is for a 3-year agreement with Onondaga County for snow and ice removal on Onondaga County roads, which is very minimal, but we need to pass a resolution so we can work with them to get this done. Move it, Mark.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? As you can see, it's 0.37 miles of roadway, and I think it's one we have to go down anyway, so.
Yep.
All right. No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
So
PW two was added at Ways and Means. It's for a contract for pest control services. It actually reduces the cost of some of the pest control services in some of our buildings. They include the public safety building, mental health building, the historic post office, and so on. I look for a motion.
I'll move it.
PW two. Second.
all right, first and second, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Legislator Winslow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judicial and Public Safety has a total of 7 resolutions, 6 which went through committees and 7 was added on 5/23, up for consideration tonight. First off, I'd like to bundle JP 1 and JP 2. JP 1 authorizing the legislature to create and fill one emergency services help position in the 911 center. And JP 2 authorization to fill a full-time vacant supervising emergency services dispatcher position. 1 and 2 for bundle.
Got one, need a second?
I'll second it.
Second, got the bundle 1 and 2, any discussion on the bundle 1 and 2? All in favor of the bundle 1 and 2?
Aye.
Any opposed?
JP 3 authorizing the chairman of Cayuga County Legislature and Director of Finance to make budget adjustments in the E911 budget for domestic violence training. This would require 2/3 vote.
Move it, Mark.
Second.
Got first and a second, any discussion on JP 3? Without further discussion, all in favor of JP 3?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
JP 4, amending resolution number 120-25 to authorize the district attorney to fill either a vacant assistant district attorney position or a vacant law associate position in the district attorney's office.
Second.
All right, we got first and second on 4. All right, is there any discussion on 4? So everyone's triple for it.
We already talked about it.
We're good.
All in favor of JP?
Aye.
Any opposed?
JP 5 to authorize the chair of the legislature and the sheriff of Cayuga County to enter into an agreement with Global Global Telelink Corporation, doing business as Viapath, for the management, operation, and maintenance of the incarcerated individual telephone system and tablets at the Cayuga County Jail.
Motion and a second. Second, any discussion on JP five? Discussion, all in favor of JP five?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, thank you. JP six, authorizing the purchase and installation of Motorola software, two laptops used as part of the Cayuga County's 911 backup emergency plan.
Move it, Mark.
Nightingale, second.
All right, we have a first and second discussion on JP six. No discussion on JP six? All in favor of JP six?
Aye.
Any opposed?
JP seven, which was added on 5/23/25, authorization to adopt the updated Cayuga County Domestic Terrorism Prevention Plan. Due to the security sensitive information in the plan, highly advisable to only be reviewed by the sheriff and the chair of the legislature.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
All right, I believe I sent an email out about this as well. All in favor of JP seven?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have some ledger resolutions this evening. I'd like to begin with ledger one, fixing day and notice public hearing on behalf of the local law in the year 2025 to override the tax levy limit established in general municipal law 3C. Now I got a motion and a second for discussion.
I'll move it.
Nightingale, second.
I have a first and a second. This resolution I'm bringing forward, does not mean we're gonna override the tax cap. Remember last year, we, did not override the tax cap, but we used all of our rollover. I do not know what the cap is gonna be set at this year, but this gives us the ability to override the cap if needed, regarding our budget. It gives us, some more flexibility in when we prepare the budget. So this is just a resolution to set the local hearing. We'll do it by local law next month. Any other discussion?
And last year, we approved to override. We passed a similar resolution, but then stayed under the tax cap.
Correct. We passed this resolution last year and we kept it our tax
I
cap.
believe we
Did not exceed it.
defeated it last year.
Did we defeat it?
No, we didn't.
I thought-
We approved the ability to do it, but we didn't.
We didn't override it. We didn't end up overriding it. We passed the resolution to allow us to have that opportunity.
But it's setting, tonight is only setting,
Tonight is setting the compensation because we have to pass a local law, so we have to set it for next month. So tonight just sets the date for the hearing for the county.
Yeah. Is there a drop dead date when you have to decide to override the tax cap? And if you
I
don't,
would say if you had a drop dead date, it'd be November when the process is going on, because you have to have a 30-day public hearing, like pass a budget.
Yeah,
in
but-
December, you want to do it earlier to under everything.
we did it at the May meeting, I think, or at the Emerson Park last year, I recall the meeting where we said we gave ourselves the ability to override the tax cap.
This is earlier in the year than we did last.
It is,
Yeah, last year we did, November, October,
or
November.
October, okay, all right.
Fall.
Student government day.
Right. I'm trying to start the budget process a little early. That's why I'm bringing things forward a little early. So.
But when we got to the point where we were gonna go over the 4.1, we decided not to, right?
This body did not, this body stopped, did not pass our tax cap.
Right. I'm not going to dispute it tonight, but I believe we did vote it down last year. We voted in Emerson Park, we voted to have the public hearing on overriding the tax cap.
It was defeated in November of last year. Yep.
So we were stuck, all right? That's the one I'm thinking.
What a memory.
All
right.
It's not just rocks.
No.
Granite or marble?
It's a really good memory, Tom.
All right. So
Wait. A lot of layers on.
So this, tonight, Mark, all I'm asking is to set the public hearing.
And you're not knowing what the tax cap limit will
I
be.
do not know what the tax cap will be. And we don't have any rollover per se. We've exhausted the flexibility we had last year. All right, any further discussion? All right, if there's no further discussion, it's gonna vote on. All in favor of setting the date for the local law to override the tax cap limit?
The public hearing, you
Public
mean?
hearing to set the public hearing, correct? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so let's move to set the date for the hearing, and we'll set that for next. I'll invite, legislator Cayuga.
Okay, I presented this, resolution at government op, just for everybody to have information. Yeah, I think it was circulated throughout the legislature. Over the holiday, I kind of massaged it a little bit. Tried to make it a little bit, more readable, took out some of the attorney language so that more civilian people can understand it a little bit better. I actually took out the last resolution that said we have to address this immediately because I really would like this to get passed. I just want to make it clear that this is not in reaction to, a lot of people think that this is all personal with me, but I believe it's what is best for Cayuga County. If we really look at some of the appointments that we have and the redundancy that we have and the conflicts that we have, I think we need to address these. This kind of expands upon the, I don't want to call it diversity resolution, but it does add diversity to our appointments. And I think that's very, very important. And if it does pass, I would also encourage this body to start addressing the most blatant conflicts ASAP. I said, because I think we can look at some of these things that are creating issues for us currently. Again, this is not a personal attack from Ben Vitale. This is something that I believe is really the best for Cayuga County. And to be honest with you, if I'm not appointed to another committee, I'm perfectly fine with that because you know what? I'm a very busy person and I will do whatever I need to do for this legislature, but I also have a lot of commitments for my own personal life. So this is really focused on what's best for Cayuga County.
Further discussion?
Yeah, I just got a question, like, let's say this does pass, is that immediate, like, swap, getting people off the board or whatever, because.
That's what I just addressed.
So,
Is that last, the resolution that you got in your original,
yeah,
that the last resolve on that was for immediate resolution to these things.
yeah,
I took that out, so it's not quite as abrasive because I really want this to pass. But I would also encourage this body, if it passes, to do something as soon as possible because we do have some severe conflicts.
I'll be in support of this, I just was worried about continuity, that's all.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So most of us sitting here sit on multiple boards. So how many boards are we going to be allowed to be sitting on?
As a legislator?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. We're an exception to the rule. We're not, when a legislator has to be appointed to a board, then it has to be one of us and we're limited.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, can you just say that again? You're saying because we're limited and sometimes we have to have representation, so there might be some overlap.
A lot of boards are required to have at least one legislator on them. And obviously, we don't have 15 anymore. We're even down to less than that. And so, I mean, we are limited. So there are certain instances where you can't get around it.
Yeah, and I think the chair appoints, right? So that could change.
What chair, the legislature.
So
thank you.
So what this is stating in here is that the chair of the legislature, our attorneys, and our legislative clerk would look at these and make recommendations to us.
So I will tell you that I was unaware to that last sentence of immediate. So now that's gone. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
We can have a motion in a second on
First or
this.
second.
Oh, I thought it's great. Got a first or a second.
I'll make the motion.
Pledge one, I need a second.
A second for discussion again.
Second for discussion.
Let's do. Are we leaving?
If I could, I've been to many board meetings this year specifically. And I'm just gonna address, I think, what this resolution is trying to get at the heart of. I've been in different board rooms, and when I'm in the room and it seems like many of the board members are the same on the different boards, that's where we have a problem. And I don't think it's a member of the public serving on one board or even two boards. But when a member of the public is on three boards, and when they're addressing a lot of the same issues as other boards, it becomes too familial, like incestual. It's too much. It's not having enough diversity. So I think that this resolution doesn't go far enough. I think that we need to do an assessment right away, because some of the terms are so tiered or whatever, they coming up, the term might be coming up next year for one, 3 years for another, 5 years for another. So I think we just need to take a snapshot right now. And if we've noticed some egregious redundancies, I think we just should address them. And I don't think it should be seen as personal or an attack in any way. Even if we approach somebody who serves on 3 or 4 committees or even 2 committees and say, what do you prefer? And then just leave them on the one they prefer and then offer a vacancy in one they don't. So I just feel like we have a lot of redundancies right now. And I just think that it's going to be disastrous to try to keep up with the changes as vacancies occur or as terms expire, since it's so staggered. So I guess I'm going to offer an amendment. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
I didn't really plan it, but I'm going to just do that because it sounds like an amendment. So I'd like to offer an amendment that we do that the chair, the attorneys, the clerk of the legislature take a, I don't know what you want to call it, an assessment of all the current boards of agencies and look for, I don't know what you want to call them, egregious redundancies. And in my mind, an egregious redundancy is like everyone from one town or one part of the county. I mean, I think if we have a board that serves the whole county and they're all from Sterling, we should, as a board, we should change that. Or if they're all from Genoa, we should change that so that it's more representative. So I don't know the proper wording for that, but.
Are you looking at to be immediate or to be, what you mentioned earlier, the word immediate?
Yeah, I would.
Part of your amendment.
I would add that as an amendment. To say an immediate look at the population and the demographics of boards and agencies that we appoint to avoid, or to, I guess, flag redundancies or other sort of egregious commonalities. I don't know what you want to say. You can use your lawyer speak.
Well, just for clarity, you said you're asking for the chair in the county attorney's office to make this.
The county, it says here somewhere else, the chair, county attorney, the chair, and the clerk of the legislature.
It was in the original.
Okay.
Will help the legislature evaluate.
It was in the original one.
It says.
Expecting a report back.
Yeah, like if you come back and you say, well, we've identified these commonalities and legislature, you probably decide how you want to address them. And we would work through the chair to do that.
Days? 30? It's just for the report, just to get the information.
Great.
It's up to you. I'm just trying to bargain.
Aileen, are we tabling this into the report?
No, I'm just saying, this is just my amendment to it. I'm just offering an amendment. Just say, I would say, it's not hard to look at your appointment list and say, same name, or same town, or, if you look at their addresses, their
But
residence.
it's not. I mean, they're all on different sheets, so it is.
Right,
If
and
we
they're,
don't make
and they're
the
different
appointment,
terms.
The boards and agencies send their appointments to us.
Yes.
They're the ones that are saying who they want to be on their boards.
They're suggesting, and then we choose that person.
Recommending.
They're recommending
appointment.
that.
We certainly have seen recommendations and now follow through with them.
But that's what their bylaws state, that they recommend.
Yes, yep. And then it'd be up to us. So yes, it's still up to us to make that decision of whether or not they should. Because they don't know if they're on other committees or not, or boards. How would they know? They might think, oh, this person is amazing. So that's just my amendment. I'm just gonna put that on the floor. I would say a 30-day or 60-day. Let's use 60. Let's give.
All right.
There's like a resolve in the original one that probably.
But that was for immediate. That was the last result.
Right. I think the shall addresses each current membership of volunteer residents serving partner committees and agency boards, which shall be reviewed for redundancy as defined as the county residents serving on more than one board at a time. County residents serving with other residents from the same town, village, and or legislative district. Residents employed by business that represent a conflict of interest, and residents serving alongside family members on the committee or are employed by an agency or committee. This review will be conducted by the committee or agency, the clerk of the legislature, and reported to the chair of the legislature.
Right. So step one, I think if we pass this as amended, I'm not sure how it'll go. It would be like sending out a notification to all the boards and agencies that we appoint to say, we've just passed this. Can you please look into your membership? So they'll be doing some of that work for us and then reporting back.
All right. You have an amendment? I just need to get a first and a second on the amendment, and then we can have discussion on the amendment.
We just need a second because she made the
Oh, we had a
motion.
second?
We need
I need a second because we need a second for discussion, okay. I have three people. I got Elaine,
Muldrow first.
Muldrow, and Mr. Petcher.
If we have to vote on this amendment
First
first,
discussion right now.
oh,
Did you have something, you have raised your hand?
basically, the first resolution that came forward, there was no question in my mind that I would not have supported that resolution the way it was presented. This came just today, and I'm still not totally clear. I haven't had that much time to review it. I certainly don't understand if it passes what activities will be taken, how all of this will shake out. What do we do with people who have term appointments? What about a number of people who serve at the pleasure? Are we going to figure all that out before we even know who's out there interested and willing to do this? At minimum, I would recommend tabling this so we can all have more time to look at it. And if not, I'm not in a position to support it right now.
Mr. Muldrow?
I too, when I first seen the resolution, I wasn't sure. But I'm positive. I do want to support this resolution. However, I do think that I agree with Aileen by that information, and that information, we need to see that prior to voting on that information. And I also agree with Elaine when she said this should possibly be tabled. The other thing that I really want to stress is I would like to see if there's anything egregious that we need to get rid of right away, because these people have served the community at goodwill and have been on these committees. So maybe when they term off, we address those as they term off. I don't know if we need to go right in and I'm on the fence on that and immediately dismantle these boards for continuity. These people have dedicated, if you're on 3 boards or 4 boards, let's say you're on 5 boards, you dedicate a lot of time to community service, and it shouldn't be a slap on the wrist to kick people off the board midterm. I think as they term out, it might be a provision if Mr. Vitale wants to think about it, that if you're on 2 boards, about discussion on this matter. So for those reasons, I would like to table it. Just so we can rewrite it just a little bit, so there's some continuity. And we're not punishing people that dedicated their valuable time to these boards. Because I know I've been on some boards, not county boards. But if I got thrown off a board just because I was on 2 other boards and I spent a lot, I'm invested, I'd be upset. And I might not want to be at any boards moving forward. And we need those people in our community. So I think that's what I would want to visit.
Mr. Petcher?
Well, I think this is a silly attempt just to do something. I think this is the kind of thing that gives government a bad name. We spent thousands of dollars tonight, with hardly any discussion. And then we come to something like this and we waste time with it. We don't accomplish anything for the taxpayer. This is just nonsense. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I just have a point. So, after being on this board this is my 10th year. Before I became a legislator, I didn't even know all these boards and agencies existed, even when the work that they did, and a lot of really good work was done. And I agree with the statements that, we have some people who are on several boards who work really hard and who are really good assets to all of us. And I'm not trying to diminish that. I do know, though, that when you have familiar people serving on boards and they keep getting retermed and then they're on there for 12 years, 14 years, what we're doing is, you need new blood, you need new perspectives, and you need diversity. And I think in this county with a population this size, we have new people coming into this county quite often who want to get involved. And when you look to the boards, and they're the same people that's in there since I've been on this legislature, to me, that's a signal that, we need to do something about it. So that's where I'm coming from with this.
No, I get it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to dismantle the boards or slap anybody on the wrist. I just think that, I come across really good, hardworking people every day who are like, oh, I really want to get involved. How do I get involved? And, I find that, we just need to do a better job. And I think we talked about it when we were doing your resolution last year, Brian, about putting things on our website and really highlighting boards and agencies as a way to get involved in our community and get out there. But we need to do the job of alerting the community that you can come. We want you, a bunch of input in this county. I think right now, the message is kind of like, we don't want your input. We want to keep it the way it is. We want to keep these people in and the people who have been there for a long time. That's just, I think, a perception.
I agree with you.
Trying to attack that.
I agree with you, but I do want to state this. I did not mean that toward anybody or any legislative person that it was a slap on the wrist. I was almost personalizing it as how I would feel, not, and being on multiple boards and volunteering my time. So that's, I just personalized it, but I didn't mean anybody was alleging that, and I probably shouldn't have said that. But I will tell you that I'm all in favor for tabling this for now, and this is not just because I really want this to pass. And if we table it, I think people have more information, and even the people that may not, the legislators that may not agree on this, but if they see the same names appearing several times, how could you not agree? How could you not? I mean, and I do believe that, to Hans' point, we didn't have a lot of discussion about money, but this is how our county is. We need our volunteers, especially now, right? We need our board's input. We need effective people on boards, especially now. So I think we may not be spending any money, but thank God we're not spending any money. And we have these boards that can help administrate some of these problems. So I would like to propose, to table this.
Okay. Mr.
Yeah,
Hall was making it,
Is 60 days fair enough and, for everybody? Does I feel like that's,
Are you proposing a table while we do some investigation?
yes.
I would second the tabling.
so we have a recommendation or a amendment to table this, which takes precedent over the amendment. We have a second, so we are gonna vote on tabling this resolution.
For how long?
What's that?
60 days.
60 days.
Well, we can have a look at,
Well, I think by that time we should get
Brian,
that information, right? That's enough time for you guys?
No, you're kind of confusing.
You're confusing me right now.
Well, the reason why I want to table it is you asked for some dates, the research, and I give you enough time to give you.
But if you don't pass the resolution that's asking for that information,
So we got to pass a resolution.
well, why can't you just request it?
Can we just request table it?
Yes, Mr. Beck.
You could address the tabling contingent upon the chairman's office getting this information to the legislature within 60 days. That makes more sense. Make the tabling contingent upon us getting the information. That'll.
Is that fair? Yeah. All right.
Okay, Jonathan, what he said.
So then we'll get the information so we can look at it, then decide whether
And we can look at,
this resolution makes sense to begin with.
but there has to be some action taken.
All right, we have a first and second on the tabling under the premise. Any discussion, further discussion? All in favor of the table?
Aye.
Opposed to the table? It's table for 6 minutes.
What's up next? No.
So move on to ledge 3. Adopting local law for the year 2025, a local law providing increases for certain county officers elected or appointed for a fixed term. This is in regards to the Board of Elections positions. And the 2 commissioners regarding the Board of Elections, setting their salaries for their terms, 25, 26, 27, and 28, an annual salary of $35,000. Can I get a first and a second?
I'll move it.
Discussion regarding ledge 3. More discussion on ledge 3 without further discussion. All in favor of ledge 3?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed to ledge 3?
Aye.
Aye.
Ledge 4.
What happened to ledge 3? Pass it?
Pass it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
What's the vote?
6 to 4.
No. You have an automatic no with,
Right.
There were 3 hands on the
6 to
opposition.
there's 4 hands.
4 hands for the opposition. 6 4 is 10.
No, 5 to 4,
5 to 4.
9 altogether. 5 in favor, 4 against.
No.
If there's
No,
something
6.
not voting,
Six to
there's
4.
10 of us at the
We're
table.
just missing one.
That's why I was gonna ask.
6 to 5.
6 to 4.
6 to 5.
No.
We had 4 opposed, correct?
Yes, but we have a vacancy.
If you have a vacancy, it's automatic no.
6 5, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
6 5.
6 yeses.
But 6 yeses,
6 passes.
6.
so 6 passes.
Just need 6.
Oh, absolutely. That's fine.
All right, ledge 4. Authorizing to enter into professional services agreements with the environmental services related to the closure of the county office building. Can I get a first and a second to put on the floor for discussion?
I'll move it.
Second.
This resolution is to continuation of the current bills and potentially future bills related to the expenses associated 160 in regards to Sessler Environmental, Logier, and Colliers, who are our current vendors as far as they're doing with us with the entry with our vendors, and also the removal of Sessler as our environmental person at this time. Any further discussion on this resolution?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would assume the 150,000 is an estimate,
It is. Right.
and we won't know whether we're going to use it all or we won't.
That's correct. We could actually lower that number if you feel more comfortable.
And this money must have been put in the 25 budget because we're not asking it to come out of anywhere else. So
Correct.
this is available for this purpose.
This was placed in the budget for 160 Genesee Street, correct? The Lynn budget these for these
Yes.
expenses. Yes, to answer your question.
For the ongoing work to remove stuff from the building, whatever it will be.
And we can lower this number, the 150, it may be a little high. I'm more than comfortable lowering that number if anybody wants to amend it downward. With that stated, it's just a matter of how often do you want us to come back and request additional funds as we keep moving forward with some of the projects and removing items from the building as we move.
But if we don't use it, it'll go back to the fund balance anyway.
Right. Right. Right now, we do have a scope of work in the basement that's gonna need to be completed that have not received the bid. Any other discussion? Oh, Mr. Winslow.
Yeah, so this is just to cover what they are doing as far as some of the entries that we have to make into the building or?
So the basement, as you know, is contaminated. We're gonna have to retrieve IT equipment and 911 equipment from the basement area as part of a movement of items. That area will need to be decontaminated. Back in 911 area will have to be decontaminated. A zero pressure area will have to be built out. That will be covered. This amount here is not with that. I don't know what the scope of that work is gonna cost. This here is $150,000. It's like not to exceed, but I'm confident we won't get to 150,000. You know.
Okay, then this is not for further assessment.
No, it is
Be done.
No.
Okay, because that word was mentioned in the resolution.
That's not at this time, that's not. That may have to come forward, but again, I think the legislature should make that decision as pertains to the bill.
Because if it's for further assessment, we were led to believe that the assessment that they have done is what we were going to be done with.
Yep, and I have a copy of the draft report that came in, and I'll be sharing it with you as well. So I know some legislators have seen it, and I know I've discussed it with a few members of your caucus. They were, well, for better fact and terms, they would like to do more investigation at this time. So that's a conversation that we had. How we move forward.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Whitetail.
Hey, my question was, I mean, I support Ledge 4. My question is, if we pass Ledge 5, would campus have any involvement in reviewing or any involvement at all in that action?
If we pass Ledge 5, campus, part of their scope of work to build immediately is to take the reports we have and to verify the work or to put a price tag on what we have to do for remediation for our current information we have and to see if we actually really need to do further investigation or not to make further determination.
But
checks and balances per se.
So, no, I understand what campus does and I highly support it. I'm just wondering if they would review what Sessler and Lozier is recommending and what they're doing before we move forward, or what we're going to do with Sessler and Lozier is already, it's going to happen.
No, so they are going to look after all the reports we have. They're going to look at the scope of work that's getting done. They're going to look at the report, the draft report that was just provided to us and come up with recommendations on whether or not we should proceed, continue the path we're on or say time out. You guys are being led down the wrong path, et cetera.
I totally understand that. If we have campus, will Ledge 4 happen before campus looks at anything?
Currently, right now, we have people accessing the basement of the building to provide a scope of work. Some of these funds may be used for that purpose, but no further. I'm not looking at doing any further scope of work until I have someone else review it. If that answers your question.
Yep, thank you.
And then I'm willing, Mr. Vitale, to reduce 150 down if it makes the budget.
I'm not worried about that. We got work to do there. I help.
Mr. Strong.
This is probably more a comment than a question. When this all started, we were told by the professionals that the basement was clear, no contamination. And in amount of time, there's been some traffic in and out. The elevator's probably gone up and down a few times. And now the basement is contaminated. So what that leads me to believe is the more we are in the building doing things, there is the possibility or the greater chance of continuing or making the contamination greater.
So
that's my concern.
So if I may, very gently, the basement had tested clean. That was back in last summer. Prior to us going back and removing, doing the first floor and then taking these items out. Part of that test was to verify the sampling that we received in the summer to verify that we're still in a clean space. As you know, the first floor continues to test clean. However, the basement level did test contaminated. Now, to put you at ease, Mr. Strong, there was some concern that those tests, because we only had a couple samples that came back, so we're like, all right, maybe it's an anomaly. Let's just test to make sure and verify where we are. We retested it again, and it confirmed that it was contaminated and not with vermiculite. So it has to do with the fireproofing in the ceiling.
Just asbestos.
Correct.
I guess my concern is that we're at a year. Been closed for a year. And I know, and I would imagine most of this board knows that, there's things that are going on. I mean, we're obviously doing things, some things, most things are out of our control, but I don't believe the public knows that. And I don't know, maybe y'all don't, but I get a lot of flack. I mean, even if you read the paper, the local paper, there's a lot of information in there that people are saying, what the hell's going on? People are mismanaging, the remediations or, the handling of 160 Genesee Street. And, I just think it's publicly where we look bad. I don't have the answers. I really don't. I know there's stuff that we can't tell the public.
No, and I will say that I was extremely disappointed to see the results of the draft report and the scope of work that we provided. It was, yes. So.
John,
Yes, ma'am.
the concerns about the basement is really concerns about figuring out how to isolate the fiber or whatever is there so that we don't run the risk of damaging the data center.
So right now.
And the 911 equipment.
Yeah, so the data center area has actually been abated. The IT closets have been abated.
Okay.
So those areas are not at risk. Those are actually clean space.
They're in the basement, but they're safe.
The IT space is.
Yes,
right?
okay.
The IT closet. The entry to get to where the items are is not.
Mhm.
The 911 room is actually next to that area as well. That area is contaminated with asbestos. Yes.
The equipment itself?
The equipment itself is able to be retrieved. However, you have to build out a zero negative pressure area, block it all off.
And this is where Sessler and Lozier come in?
This is where Sessler comes in.
Okay.
Sessler's the environmental side. They're the ones doing the actual work. Building the decontamination chamber, cleaning off the equipment.
But protecting those expensive assets is paramount.
Critical. It's
Yes.
paramount. The equipment in the 911 center alone is in the millions of dollars. So it's critical infrastructure. It's paramount that we protect these assets. And I do apologize to the public because this is taking much longer than anticipated. No further discussion? All in favor of ledge 4?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Ledge 5 is for the project manager position.
Move it.
Second.
Any discussion on the project manager position? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And ledge 6 is the appendix. You see primary one, I need a fifth and second.
I'll move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any other business? Thank you, everyone. I get a motion of first dismissal.
Okay.
Second.
Hey.
Cookies and brownies and Penny wants to celebrate Sheila's birthday.
Look at, this is what, this is. I would love to.
Next time we run into.
I'm free Sunday.
Opportunity, we'll take them on the extension.
You will? Oh, good. I have people ask.
I get back about 12.
Okay, so maybe, where would we?
Running room and.
Yeah, it's all part of the fun.